Welcome to another episode of the Hustle and Grind podcast.
I am Monique. They call me Mo Hustle.
They call me the Grind Guy.
I be up early in the morning.
You wake up like, why?
I gotta do to get this money.
We are the non-traditional couple.
You okay?
The Hustle and the Grind.
The Hustle and Grind podcast. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hey, welcome to another episode of the Hustle and the Grind podcast. My name is John. They call me the Grind Guy.
And my name is Monique. They call me Mo Hustle. And the Hustle and the Grind podcast is exactly what it's called. It's a podcast where we talk about the everyday hustle and grind of entrepreneurs. You got to have the mindset. You got to be driven. You got to be self-motivated, and the list goes on and on. So with that being said, guys, we just have great conversation with like-minded individuals that's on their hustle and their grind.
And today, you guys, listen, this is a great friend of mine, mentor, all that good stuff. This young lady right here is very special in the space that she's in.
Very special.
It's only a few people that can get things done like she's doing. Mm-hmm. All right, so welcome, Mrs. Pavielle Dortch.
Did you say Mrs.?
He did.
Oh, that's not my name anymore.
Excuse me.
Miss
Well,
Pavielle Dortch.
How about this, guys? Today's guest is attorney Pavielle Dortch.
Right.
There we go.
Right, there we go.
Much better.
So, hey, I guess, shoot your shot.
Well, Pavi, welcome. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you. We love Pavi. This is near and dear, like John said.
Man, I've been knowing Pavi since like 2015, 16-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I met her at another closing attorney's office. She's always been just like-minded. You know, you meet people and they're like, okay, I'm gonna go do it. I'm gonna get it done. It's always been that. So we've always been good. Okay.
Always?
Always.
Okay.
We always been good. There are some other people that's involved. They may have been involved. They may not have been good, but we've always been good.
Okay, fair
enough. But anyway, yeah, it's great to have Pavi on here, man. She's actually started her own firm, and she owns. Her baby girl, Mrs. Charlotte, owns a building.
My baby girl and my baby boy.
And your baby boy own a building in the heart of the city of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm. Yes, an historic building at that.
An historic building. Let's talk about that.
Let's dig into it. Dig into it, John. You know Pavi, so we know Pavi.
Yes.
Yeah, y'all do.
I met you 2017.
2017. Yep.
Yep. So, awesome person, but. We know your journey, and we know it, but we got to let everybody else know. So just give everybody a little bit of your background. Where are you from?
So I was born in Louisiana.
Boot baby.
So I lived in Louisiana until I was 12. My mother was a teenager. My father was. Both of my parents were teenagers. My mom had me when she was 14, and my dad was 17. So I was raised by my grandmothers up until I was 12, and then my mom moved us to Georgia, and so I've been in Georgia ever since.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's say, who is Pavi Dortch?
I am. But Pavi is, so I'll tell you what my name means. My grandmother named me after this Avon perfume. And what Pavielle means, it means purifying woman or humbling flame.
Wow.
And so what I am is I'm that person that gets you to, I help you purify. If it's purifying, cleaning up these titles, is it helping you deal with your personal issues? Because half the time I feel like I'm a therapist.
Yep.
Or is it just helping you on your journey? That's who I am.
And she lives up to that, you guys.
Yeah.
Just so everybody is watching, she definitely lives up to that. Her name. That's crazy that I've never heard. I remember hearing you say it, but I've never heard it like this.
Right.
So that's dope.
Yeah. It's heavy because that means most of your close relationships, you're literally trying. How do you purify something? You burn it. You burn away the impurities. So most of my relationships, close relationships, are trials by fire.
We've had a lot of deep.
Yeah, we have.
We've had a lot of deep conversations, and it's so crazy because I don't necessarily even know. Like, hey, I'm about to go talk to Pavi about this today. It's just, going to say, hey, if I'm in the neighborhood or if I got to come drop something off, it's business related.
Right.
But then it turns into a whole nother session.
It does.
But it gets so deep, and everything that you share with me, it touches me, and it's just like, I think the last time we talked, it kind of felt like we were preaching to each other.
Yeah, we
it
were.
Like,
it was a phone call,
Yeah.
and I think I was calling to ask you about something, and then it just went.
Turn into something else.
But it was on time.
And it was needed.
Yes.
It was much needed. Excuse me. But let's get into it, though, because you're an attorney. So what type of law do you practice?
So let me clarify something. I am an attorney. I don't like being an attorney.
Okay.
I don't even like being labeled as an attorney. I don't even introduce myself as an attorney.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm not just an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
I see attorneys as people who want to fit into this cute little box that function in a certain way. And I got a good friend, and he's like, Pavi, when you do stuff, he says, I see why you get in trouble, because you, Michael Jackson, lean over the line.
Oh, that gray line.
That gray line,
Yeah, you
right.
over there. Yeah.
So I'm not just an attorney, I'm a fixer. I'm a problem solver.
Yes, yes.
And so sometimes people will come to me, like we said, with something completely irrelevant to law, and I'm fixing it. So that's who I am. But my practice areas is focused on real estate planning, trust in estate. Well, estate planning is trust in estates, and probate. And the reason I am now in love with them, because this wasn't my path, well, not what I thought I was going to be doing for myself, is because I see why God sent me down this road. And I used to work for a firm in Kennesaw, and I would pull the titles.
That's where we met, by the way.
And we met in Kennesaw. And I would pull the titles, and I would see how so many people who look like me would be losing their houses. Or I would see a history of foreclosure, short sales, and a title, and realizing there's a spirit that encompasses that house. And so when I would meet a new buyer who's about to take ownership, my response would be, hey, baby, I need you to pray, sage, and clean out this house, because there's an energy. And I didn't realize how important that is. And then, like last year, 2 years ago, God put on my heart, he said, I sent you here to heal the land, because if you heal the land, you heal the people. And what my gift is in my profession is, there are a lot of attorneys who do cookie cutter closings, which is great, fabulous. I'm so excited for you. But the ones that I do,
Problem.
they are like,
dirty.
it is like,
It
it's like
requires some work.
Work.
It ain't just
Like,
work.
Work. Like work at the bubble gum on the bottom of your
Shoe work, yes. And so when I realized that's what my purpose was, I saw why he put me here. Because the way I heal the land is by clearing titles. Because when you see a house that's just sitting there and nothing's moving with it, it looks dead. You see the trees growing, you see all this stuff.
Right.
And even if you have a neighbor who still is living in the house but not making any repairs,
Right.
it still looks alive.
Right.
So my job is to figure out ways to bring those properties back to the market, so that it can live again. Because if the land is dying, that means we're all dying.
So let's go back to one thing, Pavi. You said you noticed that a lot of the titles that were coming through, people that look like you that are losing their homes.
So in the city of Atlanta, or throughout the state of Georgia, and honestly throughout the country, there's this tax deed process. And so, well, let me tell you why I care about that. I have a grandmother. Remember, I was raised by my grandmothers. I have a grandmother that I would watch go to work at somebody's house in the middle of the night. She would go host their events. She would go wash their clothes, iron their sheets, take care and clean their church, and watch after their kids to pay off her house. And then I look at these titles, and the reason it is lost because someone didn't pay the taxes after grandma died.
Right.
And when I look at it, I'm like, did you really not take care of what she worked so hard to get and obtain? And then you lost it for something so cheap.
Right.
I mean,
Giving it away.
You gave it away, because taxes are what, maybe $1,000, and half the time it still has the senior's exemption on it. So that means the taxes are super low. So you're losing houses for $1,000 when you could have been living in grandma's house versus renting something else, taking that rent money, renovating it, making it something that you want to live in, something sexy,
And passing on to
and keep passing it on generation to generation.
and owning something.
Yes, but that's the problem that I see with what has happened to us. So I'm also on a historic preservation board, and I talk to the other Black members about this. And the problem is with us, we're scared to own land. We're scared to hold these things because in our DNA, in our history, these things were taken from us. And so now we have this opportunity, so we have to break that genetic bond of fear of having ownership of something. Because if you notice, we tell stories. We're great with telling stories. but we're not great with holding things.
Right. Right.
And so now we got to start holding things and building legacies. And that's why my babies own the building. And so let me clarify. They don't own the building. They own everything I have, but it's in a trust for their benefit.
We got to backtrack again. Let's backtrack
Hold
again.
on, real quick. Beep, 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 beep. Like that, like, go ahead, Mo.
No, I was
I'm
going to
sorry.
say, but we got to backtrack because we got to talk about how you even got to the point of being able to say that your kids, your babies, own a building. So you said that you were working in Kennesaw, right? So you were working for another attorney.
Ooh, that story is
Right?
funny. Yes.
Yeah. Tell them what you were doing while you were pregnant.
Yeah.
Oh, I was. So I live in Atlanta. I worked in Kennesaw. Kennesaw is about 45 minutes, and with traffic, it can be anywhere from an hour and 30 to 2 hours. So I would leave Atlanta, go to work. I would drive back to Atlanta to do closings because I had a bunch of clients in the city. Then I would drive back to Kennesaw to do closings because we had clients there. Then I would go home. So I was doing all this while pregnant. And then it was just like, it felt like it was either going to be my baby or my job. And so I had to make a choice, and I chose my baby. But my fear was, who's going to hire me and I'm pregnant? And so...
We had a conversation about this, by the way.
Yeah, we did. And the thing is, my issue is I showed much faster because I have fibroids, an issue that plagues a lot of black women. And so I looked more pregnant than I was. So I'm like, who's going to hire me? Because they know I'm about to go on maternity leave. So I was like, okay, I talked to my husband at the time. I was like, what if I started my own practice? And he was like, okay, as long as we make money, as long as you make money. And I'm like, okay. So I had been going back and forth with this idea, and I didn't know how to have the money for it. And blessings come in disguise. So I was rushing back to Kennesaw from coming from the city, and I got in a car accident. I did a 360 on 75.
Really?
Yes. I was traffic had suddenly stopped. So I was trying to merge over. I hit the wall. I overcorrected. It pushed me back into another car, which spun me back into the wall. Now, mind you, I'm pregnant. The car looks like this, a diamond. And I'm sitting there like, I'm running to the other car like, y'all okay? And they're like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. Are y'all okay? Because adrenaline was just pumping. But it was like, I am busting my butt for somebody else.
Right.
And then when it was discovered that it was not appreciated, that's when I was like, you know what? This ain't for me. I'm leaving. That was a whole out-of-body experience.
So let's talk about that because, you know, everybody talks about where you are, where you are, right? Oh, my kids own everything I own. But how do we get to the point to, like, let's talk about those moments those moments we talk about, those dark moments where it's like, you know what, I'm ready to fuck this shit. Like, you know.
I just said that yesterday.
Yeah, I know. Almost every day. Because you have these moments where, you know, when we talk about hustle and grind and entrepreneurship, where you feel like that you want to give up. You're at the bottom and it's like, you know what, I just want to throw the towel in. But there's something that keeps you going. Let's talk about that.
All right, so I will tell you, I'll tell you guys the story of when I really, really wanted to give up. In 2017, that was the year I had Charlie. Well, Charles is his name. I had a guy come in, do a bunch of closings. He committed fraud. He had reinstated companies that were debunked, but he reinstated with names that were so similar that you didn't know the difference. So we did the closings, and come to find out it was fraud. So I lost my title agency. And when you're a closing attorney, having a title agency is what makes or breaks you. Your ability to issue title insurance. In essence, closing attorneys are glorified insurance agents. Let's just be real. And so when I lost that, it was like, how am I going to survive? What am I going to do? And then
After starting your practice in
2016. So
1 year.
So literally, and I was praying, I'm like, because most businesses fail in their first year. So I was like, okay, Lord, I want to, first step, we're going to thrive through the first year, right? We're going to make it. Right. So we made it, right? It failed literally the day after I started it. So, hey, amen. Right. But when it happened, I didn't have the support because at that point I was married, but I was the breadwinner because my husband was in grad school. And so financially everything was on me. And of course I'm very responsible. And so this is going to be really real because I don't think I've ever told you guys this story.
Okay. Tell it like it is. Tell it what we want.
I always made sure I had life insurance. And so with the claims piling up, the amounts that were due, I'm like, I'm better off dead than alive. Because then the insurance policy could cover and take care of everything.
Whoa.
Wow.
And what kept me going was Charles. I left because of Charles, and I have to live because of Charles. So sometimes when people tell you your children are going to hinder you, they're going to prevent you, you know how they tell you to wait to have kids to start your career.
Right.
My children have been what have propelled me forward in everything I did. Because when I got pregnant with Charlotte, I optimized my system. Like, we were like, this is going to be streamlined. This is how it's going to go. I built training materials, procedures, and everything. So my kids have always been my motivator to step to the next level. But that was my lowest.
Wow.
Because I couldn't see any way to fix it.
That's how it is. When you're at the lowest of the lows, but it's like a breakthrough moment.
It is.
Like you go through this process to scale. It's almost like, okay, here's the test. Are you willing to fight through this test? Because you can get through this part. I'm going to elevate you and take you like 10 times further than where you were.
And he does. It really does. And I say he because I believe in God. So if you don't, then the universe. Because my favorite book is The Alchemist. And it says that the universe gives you the desires of your heart. So if you're a Christian, that basically means God gives you the desires of your heart. So yes, and that's so true. But you got to go through those tests.
Got to go through
And those tests are really, they're your determining factor.
Yes. Yeah. And that's why you're here today.
No, that was deep. That was deep. But, you know, like you said, when it comes to having children, and, you know, I don't have children, but, you know, you do hear a lot of people that feel like, you know, because I have kids, I can't do this or I can't do that. And ever since we've known you, because what you guys don't know is that when Pavi had her baby, how long was it before you came back into the office to work? And who did you bring with you?
Actually, I always get in trouble for this because I had Charles on a Tuesday. And on Thursday, me and Charlie, I had already set up him a little spot with his bassinet. We were in the office, grinding again.
On what day? On what day, though, Pavi? You had him on a Tuesday.
And we were back on Thursday.
Ooh, y'all, Pavi was in there, had the baby.
Like,
in
there
the office.
grinding.
Yes.
So at this moment,
Breastfeeding and everything.
for people that don't know who Pavi is, like at that moment, like we was already there. But at that point, it was like this. Like we became like brother, sister, like locked in because I was like, this woman has what it takes, and she's gonna go above and beyond for her family. Yeah. And it's been like that ever since. I don't know no woman that's experienced that's done it personally.
2 days.
Well, I'm country, first off. Y'all got to remember, I came from the backwoods of Louisiana. If you come to the office, be surprised if you see me with shoes on. You lucky now.
Oh, yeah, she always had barefoot.
So,
power,
straight country.
Yeah.
But even my grandma's yelled at me.
I'm sure, especially 2 days after having Charles.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate hustle and grind, Pavi. Like,
that is
I don't
true.
think anybody, I don't think there's one woman in this world that can say that they went back to work after, had the baby on a Tuesday and was in the office with the baby on Thursday. You and the baby.
So do they put comments? Because maybe we can find them and I can find my kindred spirits.
So look, comment if you have ever had a baby on a Tuesday or any day of the week,
and then 2 days.
48 hours later, you and the baby are at work. Comment below. I doubt it.
It's gonna be hard.
It's gonna be a few.
Because some people are going to say, oh, you're not supposed to have, now you go with this. Oh, why would you have your baby at work 48 hours? You know, you don't need to be around anybody in the first month. Yeah. You know, because the babies at that time, their immune system, this, that.
That boy was a thug, so no, he was good.
No, you don't get your people that, you know, the naysayers are going to have their opinions about it.
But he's fine. He's great. He's a brilliant little boy.
Yes, he is.
So to the naysayers, he survived.
And he has assets.
Yeah, and he has assets.
Right, assets. With
so listen, so Pavi, when you branched off and started your own practice, right? You rented space in a location in the old Fourth Ward area of Atlanta, right? So if everybody knows anything about Atlanta, you know Ponce, you know that's not that's a prime location.
Yes,
the heart of the city, dead smack in the middle. So if you need an attorney, boom, Pavi's in the perfect location. But you went from renting in this space to doing what?
I own it now.
You own the building.
I own the
and
building.
guys, the building is big.
Oh,
The
It's
building- real
a
size
4,500 square foot. It was built in 1918. It's the English Tudor Revival style. I'm actually working with Jennifer's group to build plans to renovate it, to bring
Nice.
it back to its glory.
JB?
Yep, JB.
Okay.
Nice.
So it's my heart. And so that's the other thing. I'm very big on historic preservation.
Yes.
Because I think if we see our past, we know our past, we can do better. And so I'm, and you're going to hate me for it, but I'm that person who's like, don't tear down the Confederate monuments. Let that be your motivation to be like, all right, cool. I see you, Robert E. Lee. I'm going to build something right in front of you to show you what you were trying to fight against.
Yeah.
And so instead of tearing stuff down, keep it up. Because if you forget your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
Right. And I actually do agree with you because regardless whether it was positive or negative, it was part of history.
It was a part of history. It was
and
just
it
a
has
story.
an impact on people. So when you
Right.
when you ride by and you look at that, you're gonna feel one way or another.
Exactly.
Right? Other people are gonna ride by it. They're gonna feel how they feel about it.
Yep.
That was a part of history.
Yep.
And what's crazy, like, what made you choose this location?
So oddly enough, before I went on my own, I built a proposal for my old boss because I got tired of driving back and forth. And I was like, hey, if I can find us a location in the city, my goal is to have the rent at about $650 a month. I can go in that office, run it 3 days out of the week, and come to Kennesaw. So the beautiful part about me is I've always been plan oriented. And whenever I set a plan in place, it manifests. So when I left, I was gonna try to do the mobile thing and work out of my house. I'm like, this is not working. So I went on LoopNet and I searched in my area and I found it. And I paid $630 a month for my little office space. So the cool thing about my building, it's like an affordable space for entrepreneurs to start off. Because the square footage of the rooms are smaller, so you can have an office in a prominent area, but you're not paying an arm and a leg.
Right. And it's in a dominant area.
Yeah, so I just found it. And then when I walked in the door, I kept telling the property manager that whenever you want to sell it, let me know. And they let me know.
So it just came just like that.
It came in 2020, at the end of 2020, at the end of the pandemic, they offered it to me to buy from them.
Now that's cool because like I say whatever. If I'm thinking it, I'm gonna say it.
Yes,
John
she is.
always say Mo
Yes,
says
she will.
whatever. But Pavi says whatever too.
Oh, no, she
Oh,
does
I
too.
do.
We talk about that too. I
Pavi
tell her
says
too.
whatever. So you see somebody coming, hey, when you're ready to sell it, they're like, this girl crazy. But no, she kept saying it, and guess what happened?
They sold it to me.
When they came,
No,
to
they
her,
literally gifted it to me because at the price I bought it at, you would not have expected that because the molds across the street sold for $3 million. The Chase
Say
next
it again.
door,
Hold on. Say it again.
the molds across the street sold for $3 million. The Chase sold for $5, and I paid $575.
So just for y'all that don't know, that's what type of location it is. So this is why you buy real estate and wait as well, right? Especially dealing with commercial.
Right.
You bought a piece of property in a prominent, dominant area. And within the 2 years, how long you owned it now? 3?
2.
2 years of owning the property, they've built the Chase,
Yes.
right? So when banks and Walmarts and those things start coming around in the area, that's the values just going skyrocket.
Yep.
You're down the street from Pond City Market.
Yep.
Down street from the Atlanta, the city. Like, these things matter. You're right there from 75, 85.
Yep.
Your other way going towards
20, the
East
downtown
Lake,
connector.
downtown connector.
Yep.
Decatur. So that area, and this is why you buy real estate and wait, and you pick and choose your areas when you purchase wisely, because the equity that you have immediately within 2 years, and you bought right. So
I
you
was gonna
bought
say,
right.
even her buying at that
Yeah,
price,
so
that was instant equity.
you always buy
Right.
right?
I did.
So that's the thing. Buy right, but just because she bought in that area, and the Chase, and I'm looking at the whole Fellini's and everything just building up around it. It's crazy. Like you got parks and everything, like dog parks right up the street. Everything's like right there.
What else they got? No, I'm just
I
like,
know. Right? They tore down the. I was about to say the Krispy Kreme, but they tore that down. Did they build a new one?
They're working on building it
And
now.
they building a Chick-fil-A, so you know.
Oh yeah, Chick-fil-A is down the street.
Chick-fil-A is down the street, so you know. You see what I'm saying? Like.
they updated Claremont Lounge.
Yeah.
Oh, they did update Claremont Lounge and what's the spot right next to Dugan? The Dudley's. Is it Dugan?
Dugan's.
So, you know.
So let's go into, so you purchased the property, right? And you put it in your, is it in Charlie's name or no?
It's
Charlotte?
in a trust.
It's in a trust.
So it's the property. So, and this is a tool that we got to start utilizing. So the property is owned by an LLC, and the LLC is owned by the trust for the children. So then that way, it has that limited liability protection, but then it has that extra layer of protection with the trust. Because, well, technically, I shouldn't be telling you who the beneficiaries of the trust are, but normally that would add that.
And when you have a trust, let's talk about that protection. Like, so you have an LLC in front of the trust for protection. That's just like the extra cushion. But what does the trust do? How do you move with the trust?
So God forbid they breach the corporate veil and they're like, we can expose who the owners of this LLC is, and they're now liable. Well, now the liability goes on this another fictitious entity called a trust. So you're like, okay, so how do you breach an irrevocable trust? You can't.
You can't.
So
That's what I wanted to point out. So
Yeah.
that's dope, man. I mean, just to have someone that I know that kids own buildings in the city of Atlanta, like not just, you know, commercial property. Their mother built this in the process of birthing them. Like that right there. Like, when is the book coming?
actually, oddly enough, you say that. I was writing a book last year. I actually have an editor right now, but I have to focus on finishing the chapters that she wants me to revise. But it was actually telling the story of the steps I took to get out of that mindset where I felt broken. And how those are some of the tools we need to employ in order to keep going.
So, Pavi, did you always know that you wanted to be in this field?
No, I never wanted to be a lawyer.
No?
So what did you want to do? Yeah, what did you want to do growing up?
How did
As
it happen?
We just spoke at a middle school today, by the way.
Cool.
So, you know, we do that from time to time. We give back. We spoke at an elementary school before, so this time was a middle school. So we get to tap into the students, talk about who they are or what they want to be, and that it can be very achievable.
Yeah.
And we talk about what we do. So what is it that you always want to do?
I always wanted to do something in science. So when I was little, I wanted to be a veterinarian. Then I wanted to work for NASA. Then by the time I got to high school, I wanted to be a marine biologist. And so my mom was like, hey, you black, you need to find a profession that's going to pay. And it ain't going to be a marine biologist. So I was like, okay, great. Well, I like to debate. I like law and order. Let's go this lawyer track.
Okay.
And so,
What was that like going to, like, after you graduated high school, saying I'm going to school to become an attorney?
so I was a history major, and that's why when I tell you what I wanted to practice makes sense. I was a history major, and then I ended up doing a study abroad program in England. And a lot of what I was studying was like the English Revolution, dealing with workers. I was studying Marxism and just different type of revolutions and economic concepts. And I wanted to become a labor attorney. I really see how people are kind of taken advantage of when there's not laws in place to protect them.
Right.
So because I wanted to be a labor attorney, I went to law school in the Midwest because that's where a lot of labor, a lot of unions and things
Right.
are located.
Yep.
And then I realized I hated the cold.
Where at in Midwest?
I went to school in DeKalb, Illinois. The school is Northern Illinois University.
Freezing.
It is. It's closer
Feet
to
of snow.
it's closer to
You ain't even
Wisconsin.
dealing with, and you from Louisiana,
I'm from Louisiana, and then here.
Like snow.
But oddly enough, let me be real with you. The beautiful part about living in Georgia, Georgia trains you to wear layers. So it wasn't
It does.
it wasn't the coldness of the weather because I could adjust to that. I couldn't, as a Southern woman, adjust to the coldness of the people. So in the South, it's a different
breed of people up north.
So in the South, they love the individual and hate the race. In the North, they love the race and hate the individual. And I felt that. I felt that in my discussions. I felt that in the disdain. And then, so what I'm working on in therapy right now is called the imposter syndrome. So I'm in law school, like, do I belong here? These people don't respect me. Is this real? Did I earn this? And no, a lot of people are plagued with that idea of being an imposter. And that's one of those things that you have to learn to work past and work through, because if you don't feel like you belong in a space, you question yourself, you question your worth, your value. And so I felt like I didn't belong. And then I had this amazing professor, his name was Robert Jones, and he would just remind me that, no, you belong here, you made it here, you do this, these are your ideas, you think differently, you think weird, but it works.
No, it's not weird, because the things that you've thought and how you've thought out, that's what got you here today.
Oh, yeah.
So weird is not.
It's just different from the average, and being, you know, you don't want to be average. You know,
Right.
you're above
Hell,
average.
what do you say? You're weird. What do you say?
Well, I say I think weird.
Okay. Well, if you say you think weird, shit, I need to be thinking weird. Owning buildings and moving like you're moving. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't only see you as an attorney. You're a friend. You know everything else that comes with that. So when you go into your office, it's like you can feel it. Like it's like home. Like you can be yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Every person that I've referred to you always says Pavi is awesome, or she's great,
or she curses me out.
No, that's good.
Well, you never curse on none of my people. Ooh.
Oh, good. Up top. I'm happy about that.
Anybody that refers you to and you curse them out, they've pushed you all the way to the limit.
They have.
So, you know.
Who'd you curse out?
Yeah. How many?
No,
I don't know.
Do
I don't know.
Don't do that.
I can't remember.
Don't do that, because we know some of the people that she cursed out. Trust me.
But they're loyal clients now.
Right.
Because they know.
Sometimes
That broke the ice.
You gotta do it.
You stood up for yourself.
They
You
need
said,
it.
hey, listen, you're not going to run my office. I'm the boss.
Yeah.
Sit down, shut up, and get to
let me
closing.
do
Let me do my job.
Right. And you know what? And I'm grateful for you too, because one of your team members, you referred to me to work with me.
You called me.
And
you called
now,
me and said, John, I need an admin person. I just need somebody really good. And guess what we did?
You sent me
gave
Danny.
Up like one of the best admin people on the team. What's up, D-Money?
And I'm so blessed because of it. Like, the girl is on maternity leave right now working on files and calling me like, these people. I know Danny.
Right. Oh, that's Danny. She's definitely going to tell you about them people. So y'all stop getting on my girl Danny nerves, man. Shout out to D-Money.
So, Pavi, when it comes to the hustle and the grind, we have a segment in our episode, right? Of course, I'm Mo Hustle. That's the grind guy. This is the hustle and the grind. What does the hustle mean to you?
I don't know.
Take your time. Take your time.
What does it mean to you?
What does it mean to me? Getting up every day and going hard.
Okay.
Every day I wake up, I feel like I have an opportunity, right? So whatever did not happen yesterday or I didn't get a chance to do, I have a whole nother day to accomplish it. And from the time that I wake up to the time that I go to sleep, I have time to take advantage. So I'm going to go hard.
Nice. What does it mean to you?
What is the hustle or what is the grind?
The hustle.
The hustle.
hustle.
She asked me about the hustle.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. The hustle means just going, like Monique said, it's kind of piggybacking, but just going after it each and every day. When you wake up and you have opportunity with breath in your body, if you didn't accomplish those goals and those dreams, you need to be going at that every single day. That's hustle.
So
Getting it done by any means necessary.
So lately, what I've learned is
today.
Yeah.
The kids in the school said, "Oh, hustle. That means by any means necessary."
But
I was like,
he's talking street terminology.
Yeah, I was
Monique
like,
was
hey,
no.
hey, but he right. It is by no.
It
I'm just
is.
kidding.
No, it is by any means
Hey,
necessary.
you had the baby in the office. That was by any means.
Yes,
to
it
keep
was.
your
That's
business
sacrificing. Yeah.
So what I'm learning, the hustle for me is taking care of me. So I did, like you said, go in every day, achieving the goals, pushing harder and harder.
Sleeping at the office.
Sleeping at the office, breaking myself.
Right.
And so what I'm now learning is to be effective, I have to take care of me.
Yes.
And so that's been my new priority amongst getting the stuff done.
We've been talking about all these things.
Yeah.
I just like, Pavi, sit down.
Yeah, we
Running
have.
around there barefoot. Sit down, Pavi. Yep.
You hear the feet.
Yep.
Shut up.
You like, Pavi.
Yep.
You go to the office and you don't see her. Just listen.
It's
Right.
funny because the other Monique in my office calls me Sophia. She's like, Sophia. I heard you coming down.
Right. Okay, so you got the hustle in. So what does the grind mean to you? Because hustle and grind is it's a little different.
Okay, so what's grind?
Grind for me, grind is like the grit. the bottom, like when the hustle wears off, like grind is like going after it. Like the hustle wore off, right? I woke up today. I don't feel like doing it, but I don't got no choice. Like I gotta do it. That's what the
so
grind
that's
is
like
for
me last week with strep throat,
Okay.
trying to stop foreclosures, trying to negotiate with lenders.
That's Pavi just not being able to sit down and get better.
Exactly.
That's what that is. Strep throat.
Well, I couldn't help it. So the problem is
Don't worry about it. Monique, the week before that, Monique was right there with you.
You're right.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't sit down
Okay,
outside.
pot.
I'm like, Monique,
Okay,
what are you
continue,
doing
Pavi,
outside?
Okay, pot.
Look, I'm like, Monique, what you doing
Call it a
outside?
kettle black.
I'm like, what you doing outside? Don't worry about it, John.
I had to be at the meeting. Yeah,
Man.
anywho,
Go ahead,
continue, Pavi.
Pavi.
But it's when what makes me grind like that is because I care about who and what I do.
Those late hours, those long nights.
Those late hours, those long nights, those sitting on the phone like, hey, can you just sit on the phone so I can ride off your energy because I ain't got it, but at least I can hear somebody in the room with me to help this person, because ultimately what you are when you're in business is you are a servant.
Yep.
And your ultimate goal is to solve somebody else's problem.
That's exactly right.
And so what I do, and that's why we're a different type of firm, we focus more on, we got to stop this foreclosure, and we get the file on Friday, and we got to figure out how to bring it current, get the payoff, talk to the lenders.
By when?
By Monday, because it forecloses on Tuesday.
Are y'all listening?
Or
she's getting it done. We ain't just throwing stuff out there.
Yep. We
this
drop
is how she works.
everything to get that done. And then we got the other people yelling at us. Like the other week, I had an agent tell me she was disappointed in me. And I looked at her like, okay, cool. I'm glad you're disappointed, because I still got it done. I still did what I needed to do.
Right.
Why was she disappointed?
Personal, people get.
Well, no, I'll tell you why. It was an error of one of my order openers. She opened the title. She ordered the wrong title. So when I noticed she ordered the wrong title, I rushed it. And once I got it back, we churned and we got everything done. Like I stayed late, called the seller. Me and the seller worked on getting all the payoffs, the HOA closing letter. So we had everything we needed. And she was disappointed, and I was the worst closing attorney ever because I couldn't send out a wire at 5 p.m.
Again, personal. Like I said.
And so,
That's personal.
And everybody knows
That's
on the
personal.
East Coast, wire cutoff time is
Yes.
what?
It depends on the bank, but anytime between 3:30 and 4:30.
Thank you. So if I can't do something, and I'm telling you I can't do something, it's not that I don't want to
But
do it.
that goes back to personal, because you're dealing with someone that's already spent that money.
Right.
Because if they didn't, they can wait till tomorrow to get the money.
And people don't. But people kill me because they don't understand. You're not the bank.
Right.
I'm not the bank.
How can I initiate a wire if the bank is not going to actually
Send it.
process
Well, I can initiate it, but you still ain't gonna get it until
you
Monday.
can initiate it, but you have no control over when the bank sends it.
Right.
You have no
The
control
bank
over
still
that.
you can initiate it at 2:00. The bank still can send it tomorrow.
Right.
So.
And I didn't even have the money, and that was the worst part. I had to show her the money ain't in my account to send.
Oh, and then that too. So you got the other side.
I gotta wait on the lenders to send the wire, and so if I
Ah.
can't have it, I can't do
And
it.
then the lenders, sometimes their money takes a long time to hit.
Right.
So most of the time, that's what's going on, because it's going from here, it's going from one entity to the next.
And that's the thing that people don't understand about what we do. We rely on so many third parties. So
Yes.
you want me to get it done now, but I gotta reach out to Bob, who has to reach out to Jim, who then has to send it to Bob, who sends it to me, which may take 3 days. So
Right. Four.
So in this industry, or in what we do, or in just in life, period, learn to exercise patience. And the other thing is, don't count your chickens before they're hatched.
Exactly.
Ooh.
Because you may have some eggs that just aren't
I
fertilized.
call that staying in the yellow.
Might have some eggs that aren't fertilized.
That's what I call it, staying in the yellow. Probably got a whole nother term for it. Eggs that ain't
Well, it's
fertilized.
country.
I'm sorry using that one.
But hey, listen, this was a dope episode.
Cool.
We were so happy to have you, Pavi. You did what you do always.
Yeah, we love
came
you.
through and did
Love y'all
did
too.
Pavi.
Yeah. So what's next though, Pavi? Before you go, what's
Yes.
next for Pavielle Dortch?
There's a lot of things.
What's first? Because we always talk
What's
about
the
that.
immediate?
We always talk about this too. Focus on what? One thing. Pavi be focused on 10
got like
things.
10 things going on. If I focus on one thing, I'm just gonna be bored.
See?
To be honest,
She has to.
like I literally read 3 books at a time.
That's crazy.
But it's because I just need a little bit of this and that, and then I'll finish.
Okay.
But the priority right now is getting the building renovated. And then I think I want to set up a tea shop in the basement.
Okay.
I want to call it the Smiling Cat.
We talked about that.
Yep. It's after Alice in Wonderland, the Cheshire Cat, and I couldn't find any other names.
Okay.
So I figured the Smiling Cat would be pretty cool.
Okay. You'll do it.
You got
Of
so much
course.
space. Oh, she gonna
Yeah,
do it.
it's
She got
easy.
so much space. You got plenty of
Because
space
who's
to
not
do it.
gonna want? Just think when people come to close,
Right.
what do we always want? Coffee, tea, water,
Yeah.
snacks, whatever. But at the same time, like if you have a good assortment, we're purchasing on our way out.
Yeah.
There at the location.
Right.
That's a dope idea.
Yeah. Great
Yep.
idea.
And then possibly turning it into a speakeasy on Thursday, Fridays, and
Okay,
Saturdays.
so you get the
Oh,
poetry.
shucks.
Get a lot of stuff.
Okay, so you come through there and get some poetry, flowetry,
Music.
music,
Art.
open mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Date nights and
All
stuff.
right. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, well, y'all stay tuned. It's a lot coming from attorney Pavielle Dortch.
Yes, stay tuned. Hey man, thank you again for watching
Yes.
the episode of the Hustle and the Grind podcast. I'm the Grind Guy.
And I'm Mo Hustle. See y'all next time. Stay tuned.